Good morning. I'm Steve Brown, author, anthropologist, and awesome dad. Since we're all stuck at home these days, I'm having a great time myself, but other people seem to be getting a little bit chafed by the isolation. So I thought that I would offer a collection of some of my favorite poems of inspiration by Rudyard Kipling. And when I say inspiration, I mean poems I've recited to myself on long walks in very bad times that I've taken great comfort with, poems that I think are essential to the moral education of children. Now, if you're familiar with Kipling even a little bit, you should probably know that the first poem I'm going to offer you is If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve their turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Now, a lesser known poem of Kipling's is The Hymn of Breaking Strain, published in 1935, when he saw that all the hopes after World War I, the war which cost him his only son, were being dashed, that, as he put it, secretly they worked to bring to life and make more dread horrors of a bygone age that men believed were dead. At the end of his life, almost in despair, he nonetheless left us this. The careful textbooks measure, let all who build beware. The load, the shock, the pressure, material can bear. So when the buckled girder lets down the grinding span, the blame of loss or murder is laid upon the man, not on the stuff, the man. But in our daily dealings with stone and steel we find the gods have no such feeling of justice for mankind. To no set gauge they make us, for no laid course prepare, and presently o'ertake us with loads we cannot bear, too merciless to bear. The prudent textbooks give it, in tables at the end, the stress that shears a rivet, or makes the tie bar bend. What traffic wrecks macadam, what concrete should endure. But we, poor sons of Adam, have no such literature to warn us or make sure. We hold all earth to plunder, all time and space as well, to wonder stale to wonder at each new miracle, till in the mid-illusion of Godhead neath our hand falls multiple confusion on all we did or planned, the mighty works we planned. We only of creation, O luckier bridge and rail, abide the twin damnation, to fail and know we fail. Yet we, by which sole token we know we once were gods, take shame in being broken, veiled in secret power, whose paths we seek in vain, be with us in our hour of overthrow and pain, that we, by which sure token we know thy ways are true, in spite of being broken, because of being broken, may stand and build anew, rise up and build anew. Alrighty, again, for the moral education of children, there is nothing like the gods of the copybook headings. As I pass through my incarnations in every age and race, I make my proper prostrations to the gods of the marketplace. Peering through reverent fingers, I watch them flourish and fall, and the gods of the copybook headings, I notice, outlast them all. We were living in trees when they met us. They showed us each in turn that water would certainly wet us, as fire would certainly burn. But we found them lacking in uplift, vision, and breadth of mind. So we left them to teach the gorillas, while we followed the march of mankind. We moved as the spirit listed. They never altered their pace, being neither cloud nor windborne, like the gods of the marketplace. But they always caught up with our progress, and presently word would come that a tribe had been wiped off its ice field, or the lights had gone out in Rome. With the hopes that our world is built on, they were utterly out of touch. They denied that the moon was Stilton. They denied she was even Dutch. They denied that wishes were horses. They denied that a pig had wings. So we followed the gods of the marketplace, who promised these wonderful things. When the Cambrian measures were forming, they promised perpetual peace. They swore, if we gave them our weapons, that the wars of the tribes would cease. But when we disarmed, they sold us and delivered us bound to our foe. And the gods of the copybook headings said, stick to the devil you know. On the first Feminian sandstones, we were promised the fuller life, which started by loving our neighbor and ended by loving his wife, till our women had no more children, and the men lost reason and faith. And the gods of the copybook headings said, the wages of sin is death. In the Carboniferous epoch, we were promised abundance for all, by robbing selected Peter to pay for collective Paul. But although we had plenty of money, there was nothing our money could buy. And the gods of the copybook headings said, if you don't work, you die. Then the gods of the market tumbled, and their smooth-tongued wizards withdrew, and the hearts of the meanest were humbled, and began to believe it was true, that all is not gold that glitters, and two make four, and the gods of the copybook headings limped up to explain it once more. As it will be in the future, it was at the birth of man. There are only 4 things certain since social progress began: that the dog returns to his vomit, and the sow returns to her mire, and the burnt fool's bandaged finger goes wobbling back to the fire. And after this being accomplished, and the brave new world begins, where all men are paid for existing, and no man must pay for his sins, then as surely as water will wet us, as surely as fire will burn, the gods of the copybook headings with terror and slaughter return. Let's say, can you hear the capitalization in some of those terms there? All right. This is a jolly one, actually, and considerably lighter of heart, called Natural Theology, about the way we lie to ourselves and make the same mistakes over and over again. It's divided into sections, so they're essentially independent verses linked together by a theme. Primitive. I ate my fill of a whale that died, and stranded after a month at sea. There is a pain in my inside. Why have the gods afflicted me? Oh, I am purged till I am a wraith. Woe, I am sick till I cannot see. What is the sense of religion and faith? Look how the gods have afflicted me. Pagan. How can the skin of a rat or mouse hold anything more than a harmless flea? The burning plague hath taken my household. Why have my gods afflicted me? All my kith and kin are deceased, though they were as good could be. I will out and batter the family priest, because my gods have afflicted me. Medieval. My privy and well drain into each other, after the custom of christendie. Fever and fluxes are wasting my mother. Why has the Lord afflicted me? The saints are helpless for all I offer. So are the clergy I used to fee. Henceforward I keep my cash in my coffer, because the Lord has afflicted me. Material. And for this one, by the way, you should know that LSD is English slang for pounds, shilling, pence, and not the more familiar use. Material. I run 800 hens to the acre. They die by dozens mysteriously. I am more than doubtful concerning my Maker. Why has the Lord afflicted me? What a return for all my endeavor, not to mention the LSD. I am an atheist now and forever, because this God has afflicted me. Progressive. Getting to the modern era here. Money spent on an army or fleet is homicidal lunacy. My son has been killed in the Mons retreat. Why is the Lord afflicting me? Why are murder, pillage, rape, and arson, and rape allowed by the deity? I will write to the Times deriding our parson, because my God has afflicted me. Chorus. We had a kettle, we let it leak. Our not repairing it made it worse. We haven't had any tea for a week. The bottom is out of the universe. And the conclusion. This was none of the good Lord's pleasure, for the spirit he breathed in man is free. But what comes after is measure for measure, and not a God that afflicteth thee. As was the sowing, so the reaping, is now and evermore shall be. Thou art delivered into thine own keeping, only thyself hath afflicted thee. Alrighty. Those were the poems that I think are essential for the moral education of children. Now, I have one here, which is also from one of the interchapter poems from Rewards and Fairies and Puck of Pook's Hill, where he tells the history of England to children. Or rather, Puck tells the history of England to these two children on vacation by bringing back historical figures to talk to them. This one is called Our Fathers of Old and is attached to a story called A Doctor of Medicine. Excellent herbs had our fathers of old, excellent herbs to ease their pain. Alexander's and marigold, eyebright, orris, and elecampane. Basil, rocket, valerian rue, almost singing themselves they run. Vervain, dittany, call me to you. Melilot, cowslip, rose of the sun. Anything green that grew out of the mold was an excellent herb to our fathers of old. Wonderful tales had our fathers of old, wonderful tales of the herbs and stars. The sun was lord of the marigold, basil and rocket belonged to Mars. Pat as a sum in division it runs, every herb had a planet bespoke. Who but Venus should govern the rose? Who but Jupiter own the oak? Simply and gravely the facts are told in the wonderful books of our fathers of old. Wonderful little when all is said, wonderful little our fathers knew. Half their remedies cured you dead, most of their teaching was quite untrue. Look at the stars when a patient is ill, dirt has nothing to do with disease. Bleed and blister as much as you will, blister and bleed him as oft as you please. Whence enormous and manifold errors were made by our fathers of old. Yet when the sickness was sore in the land, and neither planets nor herbs assuaged, they took their lives in their lancet hand, and oh, what a wonderful war they waged. Yes, when the crosses were chalked on the door, yes, when the terrible dead cart rolled, excellent courage our fathers bore, excellent heart had our fathers of old. None too learned, but nobly bold, into the fight went our fathers of old. If it be certain, as Galen says, and sage Hippocrates holds as much, that those afflicted by doubts and dismays are mightily helped by a dead man's touch, then be good to us stars above, then be good to us herbs below. We are afflicted by what we can prove. we are distracted by what we know. So, so, down from your heaven or up from the mold, send us the hearts of our fathers of old. Good morning to you all, and I hope you liked this.